Welcome to Acres of Diamonds podcast number 18. I am Scott Gibbs. I'm here with co-founder DJ Ligori and special blonde hair, blue-eyed, maniacal fitness guru Tyler Farrell. And we're going to talk to Tyler today about motivation and how he's kept it going in the face of adversity, and some tips, tricks, and pointers that he's going to share with us. And this is something that DJ is really passionate about as well. And I'm going to sit back and hopefully learn a little bit about how they keep their motivation going, because I don't have it like they have it. So DJ, I'm real interested in hearing about this.
So today Ty and I were talking. I said, what do you want to talk about? What's something you think that people would be interested in hearing? And he said motivation. And he said specifically now, given our current state that we're in with all these restrictions and these closings, and I mean, more importantly, gyms and fitness centers, how do you keep your motivation going if the main source of how you kept your physical shape going was from a gym? And so Ty and I started talking about this, and Ty had a couple ideas of motivation of how to keep yourself going during these difficult times. And so that's what we wanted to talk about today. And so hopefully maybe the Acres of Diamonds audience can get some motivational tips from this podcast today. So Ty, why were you thinking motivation, and what was the drive behind that?
So I mean, it's actually kind of funny you ask. It actually happened on a Saturday. I was driving home from my good buddy Jack Hanton, his barn, and literally just had got done working out. And I was like, you know what? I started out this pandemic, once the gyms closed, my motivation, right before we hit was up here, pandemic hits, and then immediately everything closes and it comes down here, right? So I'm driving home that Saturday morning at, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. And, it hits me. I'm like, I think motivation would be something really good to talk about, because I feel like this whole pandemic has affected everybody in some way, shape, or form, possibly in the mental state and in our physical state as well. So I just felt like, literally just getting done with a workout, I felt like I felt really good about myself. I had got what I needed to get done in, and I felt like, I could share some insight with other people of what I use as my motivation and what I try to do.
Yes. And I can definitely remember when all of this initially started. I remember one of the first conversations I had with one of my buddies was, well, the gyms won't close, so we'll be all right. So, I mean, if a bar closes, whatever, but if the gym closes, at least you can still maintain a little physical status. Then the next day, all the gyms closed. So, I mean, it was just incredible to think that, you go from working out in the gym, and now it's like, all right, now I have to completely shift everything that I have been doing in the gym and somehow figure out a way to maintain all of the progress you might have been making. So, once all that stuff once the gyms closed and everything, what was your initial reaction or your motivation behind it? How to keep going?
So I'm not gonna lie, and I was probably one of the first people to complain as soon as I found out they were closing. Like, I took the Snapchat, I took the Facebook, and I was like, this is outrageous. I can't believe this is happening, because it was going to directly affect me. And I was pissed at first, but after Scott had said something to my Instagram or my Facebook, I was like, he's right. Got to make the most of the circumstances, and keep on keeping on with what you've been doing and where you want to get to. You can't let something like this stop you from what you do every single day.
Mm-hmm. So Scott, what did you say to him? What'd you say to spark him up a little bit?
I don't remember exactly, but I mean, we talk, the three of us have talked very candidly since you guys are probably freshmen or sophomore in high school, right? We haven't, I haven't treated you like kids. I've treated you like men. And I just remember he was boo-hooing and being a victim.
Uh-huh.
And we've talked about that in a lot of different ways over the last 10 years. And, being a victim is not healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it was amazing, actually, how quickly he turned around and how his posts immediately started showing all these free body workouts, all these workouts with different things he set up. And I was like, holy cow, that's amazing. Right.
Yep.
And I think you actually, DJ, you found the same thing when after you got through the initial disappointment. And don't get me wrong, guys, I think there is somewhat of a grieving process we all go through when things are taken away from us, right? No doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I watched you go through the grieving process, and then you're like, all right, now what?
Yeah. It got to a point where it was like, well, because I think initially when everything started, we were like, all right, this might last a month. The gym will be gone, closed for a month. I can just do some push-ups and sit-ups, whatever, and then I'll be back in a couple of weeks. But, now since we're on month 4 or 3 or 4 now, I think after that month mark, it was like, all right, shit, we got to figure this out. Like we got to figure out some way how to maintain, the progress we've made. And I think a lot of maybe the motivation that I might have had or that others maybe instilled upon me was I actually talked to a lot of my friends. I was just like, what are you guys doing? All of my buddies still work out pretty regularly. Both we work out our minds and our bodies, our bodies more probably often. But I was curious, what are you guys doing? And a lot of them, at home stuff and doing a lot of research online. But I think the best one was actually Derek Richards. Shout out Derek Richards. He was actually doing all these CrossFit workouts, these crazy, I think they were called hero WOD workouts, where it'd be like 10 burpees with 10 pull-ups and 10 sit-ups and doing that, descending order all the way down to 1 in 15 minutes or something like that. And so I did one of them at his cousin Frank's house, and I almost barfed in the front yard. And I was like, well, when I do a workout at LA Fitness, I'm not getting sick at the end, so this must be better. So that was literally the way that I was thinking. So, Ty, what do you think? You think any of the stuff you're doing now is harder than what you initially were doing in the gym?
So when we were in the gym, do I think right now was harder than actually being at the gym? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Is there like what's the difficulty level? Like how have they shifted? How have the actual workouts changed?
Okay. So, when COVID first hit, it was an immediate shock. I don't have any weights at my house. So, I literally found wood in my garage, an old party tent pole, cut it in half, made a pull-up bar. That was the first thing I did, and that's basically the only thing I used other than just, body weight exercises. Did that for the first month, would use propane tanks for lunges, right? So these were literally random workouts that I would just put together. But since that first month, month and a half, I've been able to go to Jack's barn. Luckily, he's got a bench and a squat rack all in one, so I can actually do something now. But that first month that hit, it was, something that was very foreign to me because it's such a big change going from being at the gym where you have, things accessible to you, anything you want. And then, you go to just sitting in your garage trying to put something together, that's going to really push you. So, it was definitely a big shock and big wake up call to me.
Do you think it gave you a whole new appreciation for actually having a public gym available to purchase a membership to?
Oh, my appreciation for the gym now is way up here, and has definitely made me realize that when I have my own house, I will 100% have my own home gym.
Yes, I think all of the stuff that's happened has given us an appreciation for, our old lives, as if we want to call it, the simple little pleasures that we may have taken for granted, such as going to the gym. But now there is something that I remember, and Scott, you can attest to this. When we talked to Jamie Cuccinelli, we talked a little bit about physical fitness, I believe, with the Avid Golf. And then we also mentioned how there was kind of a connection between the physical fitness you produce for yourself and your mental fitness or kind of your mental balance. Ty, do you think that there's a direct correlation between kind of the physical stress you put on your body if it increases, then you also increase your mental stress as well?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely go hand in hand. You know, you're stressing your body so much with certain workouts that you're doing that, you know, you got to be able to somehow dig deep and put in your brain that, you know, maybe you got a really heavy set or really heavy rep coming, you know, you got to really dig deep into your mind and be like, you know, I got this, you know, I only have one more. So it's something to look forward to, as a tiny reward. Like maybe I'll go get a drink of water after I'm done with this. Once I get this up or once I do this, you know, I'm going to reward myself with, you know, something after my workout. So I think, yeah, definitely goes hand in hand a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think you definitely got to reward yourself a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I think it's definitely a nice feeling that amongst the circumstances, we're figuring out a way to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of like, it's almost like we solved it. Or like it was something that was a challenge was provided to us, or an obstacle was provided to us. And at first we let it kind of beat us down. I think most people let it kind of beat them down, but then I think we all realized, all right, we have to adapt to this. And this needs to be something that we overcome. So I like that. I think that's, you know, I'm curious, what was, you know, do you have anything that was like what was the weirdest workout that you ended up coming up with?
Oh man. I would definitely say one workout was, you know, it was supposed to be leg day, right? So I grabbed two propane tanks that were in my garage. Touched on it a little bit earlier. Grabbed whatever was in the propane tank. You know, they could have been 20 pounds for all I know.
Mm-hmm.
Started doing lunges, grabbed a tow rope and threw it around my pull-up bar to do, you know, some single leg air squats type things. So, you know, and the list could go on and on for what that day was, but those two exercises were definitely, you know, out of the blue. Like didn't ever see myself in my garage holding two propane tanks trying to do lunges. Yeah, that was a very awkward day for me. And meanwhile, it's 30 degrees out.
Yeah. Now, Scott, before we went on air, you mentioned something about intrinsic motivation.
Yeah, so intrinsic motivation is basically the concept that in business, especially, you know, you can only motivate people so much externally, meaning you can only give them so much recognition, you can only give them so much money before what it really comes down to is how you tap into their intrinsic motivation, right? So what is it deep inside them that keeps them going, that keeps them pursuing their goals in the face of the obstacles, just like you guys just talked about. So, for example, I interviewed, he had a client one time, and he said his wife was a premier runner in high school and college. And I asked him to ask her one day for me, hey, what is it that you think about while you're running, while the pain is in your legs, while the pain is in your brain? What do you think about? And he said, I asked her and she said, just take the next step, just next step, just next step. Don't quit. Keep going. Next step, right? Over and over and over and over again. So I'd be real curious, right? You guys both got very creative and stayed committed to your passion for physical and mental fitness.
Mm-hmm.
What was your intrinsic motivation? What was the internal messaging that you used to move you forward?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can attest this. I remember in the beginning of, once this had all happened, me and my roommate Tyler Updike were working out, and we were just doing kind of we're doing workouts that weren't necessarily challenging. I mean, I think we were doing workouts to say, all right, I worked out today. But the point of a workout is to stress yourself out enough to where your muscles have to, you know, rip apart a little bit and grow, and, you know, nutrition and all that stuff. So I think it got to a point where I felt like the pandemic was winning, and it was beating me down to, you know, to say, all right, you joined LA Fitness and you've been doing great in your 2 to 3 months of working out, and now it's all going to go down the toilet. It's all going to get ripped away. And so I think that was really the underlying factor of saying, all right, you know, what are we going to do now? You have to somehow figure out how to provide the same value that a gym can, but at your house or at Cobb's Hill, or running 400-meter sprints and doing, jump ropes with it. I mean, whatever it may be, do something that stresses you out enough to where you say, all right, that was good enough. I'm okay with calling that a workout. So I think there was a lot of honesty and a lot of like kind of internal, you said internal dialogue, a little bit of soul searching, I think, involved. So, we've said this before, there's definitely a lot of cons with this pandemic, but I think there was definitely some pros as well with that level of honesty that I think we all needed to have with ourselves.
Yeah. So I think for me, the one thing that I've noticed during this pandemic is I write everything down. So it forces me to have to do what's on the whiteboard. So, I've gone out to Walmart and I bought a big whiteboard that literally every day it's write it down, and then, you have to do it, and it forces you to want to do that. So, for me, I've been doing it for 4 months now. And before that, it was all in a journal, but I found that physically writing it down every single day, I don't know, there's just something about finishing that workout that day that makes me feel good. And then also it's looking back on like some old photos of yourself that it sounds kind of funny that you would look back on old pictures, right? But for me, it allows me to see myself then and where I am now and where I want to be. So progress pictures for me are like huge. So like I could take a picture 6 months ago and I look like this. Maybe I look at a picture from 3 months ago when the pandemic first hit. Maybe I look at one from a week ago, and I can continuously see that progress that I'm achieving. And I feel like if everybody, or, if that's your thing, looking at it and being able to see where you've come from, I feel like that's a pretty good sense of motivation internally.
Yes.
Feel good thing.
Ty, to your point, I have all my workouts written down on the whiteboard too. I think there's something there. I think you're totally right. Something about writing something down where you purposely wrote it down for a reason and you're not just going to let it sit there.
Yeah. And I think, Scott, haven't you talked about that, in the past, of writing goals down? If you're more likely to achieve a goal if you write it down, correct?
Yeah, I'm sitting here smiling because I used to talk about this when you guys were JV basketball players, and you never know if anybody hears you or anybody listens, but the science is really, really clear that the people that write down their goals exceed their goals more often than the people that don't. And like the data, it's Harvard, it's Stanford, Yale, they've all done the studies, and it's not even close. And to your point, you both said it in different ways. There's something about the brain and the writing down of things and the repetitive nature of the physical writing down with the mental repetition of writing it down that connects it all together and embeds it into your psychology and what they call the reticular activating system. And your mind and your subconscious now is always looking for ways to achieve those goals. And you guys are talking exactly about how the process works, and it's fantastic. That's why I was smiling the whole time. I'm like, yeah, they do it better than I do, right? I mean,
so we definitely listened to what you were saying then, Coach Gibbs. We weren't just
yeah. Really, it's quite impressive that the two of you, Jake Gilman, all three of you have adopted some real world-class strategies in your lives, and all three of you are seeing the results. And it's not rocket science, right? I mean, as much as we like to think we're special in our accomplishments, we are, because we're actually taking the concrete steps and following the strategies that the elite performers of the world follow. But when it comes right down to it, it's putting one foot in front of the other. It's writing things down and then going and doing them and checking them off. And Tyler, I loved what you said, giving yourself a little reward, whether it's a 10-second break or a 30-second break or a glass of water, whatever it is, right? But you earn it, right? So you eat your dinner first to earn your dessert. And DJ's really good at that as well. And I'll be honest, it's humbling. It's humbling and to talk to you guys because you're doing it so well. And there's just areas of my life that I'm not doing it as well as you guys are. And it's both inspiring and humbling. So I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ty, I got one more question. Coach, how much time we at right now?
We've got about five more minutes.
All right. I think this will be an interesting question to end on because this will kind of connect to outside of such a workout environment. But, we talk about motivation. We talked about, this intrinsic motivation, maybe a little external motivation. But has there been any other areas of your life where, we talk about, all right, the pandemic hit and I needed to somehow force myself or find a way to become motivated to work out? Were there any other areas of your life where you thought, all right, I need to be motivated to maybe read more? I need to be motivated to learn something new or apply myself more to my job because of this pandemic. Was there any other areas where you kind of exceeded your motivation for that area?
So yeah, I think once the pandemic hit, it kind of made me realize that I need to become more knowledgeable in different things. And one thing that I am starting to, but, learning at the same time is, and Scott talked about it a little bit the other day when we were at a grad party, and it's the stock market. I've tried to, teach myself, but then again, look for research on the stock market of like other people and, how to become good at it. Cause it's such a tough thing, right? You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I've been trying to, research that a little bit and become better with that. So, it can become an outside source of money for me. And it's kind of fun at the same time. You get to, literally look at it in the morning, it could be sky high and then, 10 minutes later could be plummeting. So, definitely learning that has become something that's become interesting to me.
Nice. So you say your motivation increased in that area?
Oh, definitely. Like I'm checking that thing all the time now.
That's
I'm
cool.
motivated by a pen. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's it. That's interesting because actually this morning my roommate and I, we started looking at the Motley Fool, the website. We were just curious about it just because we had heard some stuff about Tesla and all these other stocks.
Mm-hmm.
So that a little God consciousness moment right there. Kind of cool.
So I'll share with you the best advice I could give you about stocks and building wealth. So you guys want to write things down, learn how to do a net worth calculation, right? And understand your net worth. And just like you were saying, Tyler, understand your net worth at, July 2020, August 2020, and start measuring against that, right? Once you know that, then you can actually start tracking your wealth building, right? And you guys are at a young enough, you're talking about this stuff at a young enough age. There's no reason you can't be multimillionaires by the time you're, 50 years old. That's just a fact. If you start learning about it now and you take an interest about it now, you can do it, but it starts by writing it down, right? Writing down your goals and understanding what the metrics are, and net worth is the most viable metric. And then the other thing is, I started out buying real estate when I was young, probably your age, and I thought I was a big shot, and I bought a 2-unit house. And I was at a charity dinner talking to some guy, and he asked what I did, and I said, I'm an engineer, but I'm also starting to invest in real estate. He goes, oh, really? He goes, how many units do you have? And I said, I have 2. He goes, gives me this old man smile, right? And he said, yeah, I kind of invest a little bit too. I said, how many units do you have? And he said, 232. And he goes, do you mind if I share some insights with you? I said, sure. And he goes, never buy a single stock. If you buy a single stock, you're going to be a victim to it going up or down. So you'll always be stuck on that single stock. If you buy a portfolio of stocks, or what they call mutual funds, then some stocks are going to be up while other stocks are going to be down, and it's going to average, right? So mutual funds are typically, between 30 and 100 different stocks, and the mutual fund value will average out for the ups and downs of those stocks in the portfolio. He said it's the same with real estate. You buy one unit or 2 units, right? The roof goes on 1 unit, you're crushed for months. The heating unit goes on 1 unit, you're crushed for months. Your cash flow is destroyed. You can't afford it. But if you buy 200 units, yeah, it sounds riskier, but it's actually in the long term not riskier. So that was a pretty good insight for me. Knocked me down a few pegs, but if you guys want to over time read a great book, Tony Robbins is just the leader in psychology, the leader in all human performance elements. In my opinion, most other people copy his stuff and then put their own spin on it. But he's written one game called Money, Master the Game, and another book, a follow-on book called Unshakable, that are both great studies of people that have built wealth, billionaires that have built wealth, and the insights that they would give. Mm-hmm. And none of them say gamble on stocks, right? So keep that in mind as you start dipping your toe in the water here. Just like when you go to the casinos, you go with a set amount of money to lose. Mm-hmm. That's all you're doing in a stock. Mm-hmm. So it's legalized gambling. But if you buy a portfolio of stocks, then you'll get you get less downside, less upside, but a more safe investment.
More diversification.
That's right. Very similar to the way you guys work out. You don't work out just your biceps. You don't work out just your triceps. You don't work out just your legs, right? You get a whole body workout.
What a connection. Yeah. What a way to wrap it up. That was incredible.
Well, guys, I meant what I said. I'm very humbled and inspired by the two of you, and I think you're just getting started. I look forward to the next 20 or 30 years to seeing you grow both physically, mentally, and financially, I think, and with your relationships. I'm excited. Offline, we were talking about over time, you guys getting married someday and having kids someday, and that's exciting to me as well.
Yes, me too.
Yep, me too. It's coming up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you're both going to make great fathers and great husbands for some lucky ladies.
I'm excited.
We're hoping.
All right. Podcast number 18 is in the books. Thank you, gentlemen. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you for having me.